Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. 8 fragrances that turn an entrance into a statement. And with these 8, that statement will be a positive one. I think if most people understood just how important an entrance is, a first impression, I think everybody would wear fragrances. The data is very clear on this. People make a decision about you in the first 7 seconds, and 55% of people make that decision based on appearance and body language. And when I looked this up, I couldn't believe how important scent was to appearance. It's absolutely huge. And once people have made their first impression about you, it's very, very unlikely it's going to change. There's something called the primacy effect. Once you make a decision, it's hard to change it back. Have you ever tried to change your wife's mind about anything? Wearing a really good fragrance is an absolute no-brainer, and these 8 will make excellent first impressions. They will make a statement. Fragrance number 1, this is Tom Ford's Beau de Jour. And thank God Tom Ford loved barbershop fragrances, because barbershop fragrances are great, but they've always had 2 flaws. The first is performance. They're always really nice, but it's hard to get herbal notes to last a long time. They're not like leather or vanilla that really push out there. And the second thing is, barbershop fragrances came out in the 70s and 80s, back when men were men, and barbershop fragrances always were rough around the edges. Well, Tom Ford has fixed both of them with Beau de Jour. And the first thing by far that I noticed when I put this on was just how strong it is. And that was on purpose. Tom Ford wanted to make an extremely strong barbershop fragrance. He did this here. You're talking 8 to 10 hours, no problem. The second thing, though, is the rough around the edges part. And Tom Ford fixed that with the use of a specific kind of lavender. If you go on Fragrantica, you'll see they have 2 lavender notes there, but they're not the same. The first lavender in this is lavandin. That's the traditional lavender that they use in a lot of fragrances. But Tom Ford added English lavender. And English lavender is softer, it's smoother, and it's more floral. So it's a smoother overall, a more modern lavender smell. And there's a ton of lavender in this. Not just lavender, though. It's got oak moss, which is critical. And then it's got 4 other either green or aromatic notes. It's got patchouli and amber in the base. It smells awesome, but it's strong, and it fixed a lot of the problems. Fragrance number 2, this is Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens. And I always wondered, what does a sultan have to do with amber? That made no sense to me. So I looked it up. And apparently Serge Lutens was on vacation in Marrakesh, Morocco. He was at a souk, basically a marketplace, and he purchased a piece of amber. He took it home, put it in a drawer, and many years later, he found it, picked it up, and it had gotten richer and denser and really cool, and it reminded him of that trip to Morocco. And he thought, I should make a fragrance like this. And he did. So what he wanted to do was combine the scent of amber with the smell of the marketplace in Morocco. And so what he used was a ton of herbal notes to capture that. And that was completely new. And it changed the way people used amber, because prior to that, amber was usually like powdery, sweet, and resinous. But this is spicier, herbal, and drier. So it's a different kind of amber. And then he also absolutely insisted that this fragrance would be really long-lasting. He wanted a fragrance that lasted at least 12 hours. In my experience, this one does that absolutely no problem. This is one of my best pickups of 2024. Fragrance number 3, this is Versace's Oud Noir. Now, this is a relatively pleasant, westernized oud fragrance with cardamom. What's so special about this? Well, for me, I have a personal reason. I've had a friend for 40 years. I go to his house every single weekend. We hang out, and I talk about fragrances a lot, and I wear them all the time. He doesn't really like fragrances at all. And the only time he ever goes, oh, wow, that smells really good. Like the only time was when I wore this. That made a statement to him. And when people who are not into fragrances all of a sudden go, oh, I really like that. You've hit a nail there. You've hit something there. And I do think this fragrance is special because I love what they did to it. When I talk about a westernized oud, Tom Ford was responsible for bringing the original M7, but he was also responsible for Oud Wood, which was a westernized oud because it added a ton of freshness and it added other things to kind of prop up the oud for Western audiences. In this particular case, you've got bitter orange neroli. That's fresh, citrus way. And then you've got olibanum, fresh resin. And then you've got black pepper and saffron. That's fresh in a spicy way. So 5 fresh notes. Then you got cardamom in the base to give it a little bit of a date night feel, all protecting the oud. So there's no barnyard oud here. Performance is very, very solid. It is more expensive than other Versace Pour Homme fragrances, but it's better. Fragrance number 4, Versace Eros. And when you have an EDT that lasts 12 hours, and it was designed to last 12 hours, that makes a statement. And when I say it was designed for that way, Donatella Versace was a creative director of Versace when this came out in 2012. And she wanted to make a fragrance that was youthful and that was a clubbing scent. And when you're in a club, you really want the fragrance to be strong, and this one is. And actually, Versace also wanted this to be the DNA of Versace. She didn't want the Pour Homme line to really reflect it. That was kind of a secondary line. And that's why you have the EDT, the EDP, and the Parfum. Now, that has changed over time. The Pour Homme line is a fresher line. It is also, I think, now just as popular, but the original intent was to make this the fragrance. And this is not a fragrance that people look at and go, oh, it's super innovative, you're going to smell different. Because at this stage, it's not really different. But it was. In 2012, this combination of warmth of the tonka and vanilla and the coolness of mint and green apple, that was a contrast that didn't exist in fragrances. Normally, when you had warmer fragrances, they went with spices. It really worked, especially when you combined it with the beast mode performance. The strength of this is the key. Fragrance number 5 is Al Mukhtalif Signature by Nusuk. And I talked about this in my last video. And as soon as I smelled the dry down of this, I knew I was going to be adding it to my rotation for fragrances because I have tried as many clones of Ombre Nomade as humanly possible that I can get my hands on. And in terms of performance, longevity, nothing comes close to this. Nothing. People can say, oh, the Paris Corner one. No, this is an extrait de parfum. And it really is an extrait de parfum. It actually feels like, okay, the first 15 minutes, no. Too much rose, way too much rose. But after that, it feels just like wearing Ombre Nomade. Maybe a slight little bit of synthetic, but man, it's really good and it's really strong. And I love Ombre Nomade. And so essentially you're talking about a dark oud fragrance that's a little bit ambery and a little bit musky. So it's no saffron in it, so there's no freshness to it. So it's got a dense quality, but there is a fair bit of rose. And as I said, too much rose at the beginning, but this is like Armaf. After the first 10 or 15 minutes, that rose dies down and goes to the right amount of rose that you get with Ombre Nomade. And this is a hell of a fragrance. Fragrance number 6, Lattafa Khamrah. And when you're making a statement, it really helps to project like a monster. And boy, does this project like a monster. I think for the money, I've said this before, I don't think anything projects better for the money than this fragrance. And I mean, it is very trendy. It is, especially if you're a young person, it is the kind of fragrance, the gourmandy style you should be wearing. They've got cinnamon and nutmeg. You've got dates and pralines, so it's quite sweet. And you've got vanilla, tonka, 3 resins. I mean, it's got everything. It is a pleasant scent. I don't think this is a clone of Angel Share. And if you look at the voting on Fragrantica, I think people don't believe that either. It is still, though, a really nice fragrance. It just doesn't have the booze to be Angel Share. Fragrance number 7, this is Tom Ford's Black Orchid. And honest to God, if you're the right person, I don't think there is a better statement-making fragrance on the market. But you gotta be the right kind of person, because this orchid note in here is very feminine, and it is protected from other notes that I'll get into in a second. But that feminine note is real and it's prominent. However, if you are a very masculine person, or if you're an extremely confident person, I don't think people are going to judge you for wearing it. I think they'll be more intrigued than anything else. And so if you are, this is a fantastic fragrance for contrasting with the personality of the fragrance. Now, it is protected, as I said. There's an earthiness from the truffles. There is chocolate and vanilla, both of those notes, so it's quite sweet. And you've also got a dark element with spices and incense. I mean, it is a supremely pleasant fragrance. It's just not for everybody. Fragrance number 8, this is Quorum. Now, I did say we were making a positive statement, and I know a lot of people don't like this, but really, it's only bad if you compare it head to head with Polo Green. I mean, it is a much rougher, much more difficult fragrance to appreciate if you're comparing it to that, but it does have a lot of Polo Green tendencies. I mean, the note breakdown is so similar. Basically, leather, oak moss, tobacco, and pine. I mean, all of them are there. It's got a similar vibe, but it's a cheaper, more synthetic version, but it's still pleasant. It is still pleasant, and it's strong. So again, it's not for everybody, but I do think for the right person, this would work really well. I think first impressions are absolutely critical. I think making a statement with your fragrance is absolutely critical. I saw a video recently. There were 2 kids and they were doing canvassing around the neighborhood, and they stopped in a lady's doorway, right? There was a camera on them from the house. They didn't know, right? So the lady comes out. They ask for some money for canvassing. She goes to get her purse. And they both have a conversation that is audible, and you can hear one go, "Oh my God, she smells amazing." And the other one agrees. And I'm like, they don't know her. They just saw her for the first time already. Positive view of her. And I'm sorry. Fragrances are underutilized, even among the fragrance community. Anyway, thanks for watching.